So listen, we've got some live questions here, and we got to talk about what's happening this weekend. But before we get to that, I do want to ask you specifically something that has become a bit of a debate, and I know you've got a take on this. WWE later this month is going to reveal a new show on Netflix called WWE Unreal. It's going to be a behind-the-scenes look into how the sausage is made in WWE Creative. There's been a report out that says they're going to give us a peek inside of some major moments, maybe someone's return, maybe a title switch, maybe a Royal Rumble. I forget the specifics, but pivotal moments that have happened in the last year. We'll see how all of that was created. Now, is that good or bad? Is it a net positive or negative for wrestling? Has been debated. Well, recently, WWE Hall of Famer and legend Jake the Snake Roberts had this to say about the project. He says, it's foolish, saying that no amount of money made from the show will warrant the damage it will do. But former WWE superstar Ryback has a different viewpoint, and I want your take on this, John. Ryback wrote, I truly believe WWE Unreal is one of the best things for wrestling and wrestlers. This is physical acting, the hardest thing in the world. We play roles, and it takes all of us. No one really wins or loses, and it's time fans and dirt sheets stop the hate and understand what this is. It's no different than movies. You're given a role, and depending on your contract, sometimes you know exactly what it is. Other times it's week to week, but no one shames actors for playing a bad guy or a small part. It takes everyone. Wrestling is one giant production. Where do you land on this, John? Do you side with Ryback on this?
No, I side more with Jake, but I'm not as hard-lined as Jake is, and I have a lot of respect for Jake. He's one of the greatest minds in wrestling today. Jake is unbelievable how smart Jake is. It was great working with Jake back in the day. I learned so much. It was such an honor to work with him. But, you look at what they're doing now, and is business huge in spite of what they're doing or because of what they're doing? And I'm not talking about the great matches that they're putting on. I'm talking about all the behind the scenes stuff. I don't know the answer. I don't know what the answer is I'm against it. I think it's too much, but they're selling out arenas back to back. I mean, they're selling out 60,000 people on big shows back to back nights. That's unheard of in this business. So they're doing something, and I don't know if it's and again, I don't know if it's in spite of this or because of this. Now, and the one thing that I would disagree with about people that say this is great is that, you kind of want the air of something could go wrong. You kind of want when Houdini does the milk can trick where you be in the milk can, that he might actually drown, that there is some element of danger. And there is in this. We work in the round. We don't work with the benefit of camera angles. We can use camera angles on certain things, but not like movies where, guys never get touched. So you have fans that are sitting 3 feet from you. A lot of contact, a lot of very, stiff things happen, a lot of injuries. That adds an element to it that's different from movies because now you know that this guy, this stunt person, this actor, something could happen. And also you understand there could be a receipt there. There could be some little animosity there. There could be some things. And I like that mystique about it. I don't know if that takes away from that. Maybe it doesn't. I think with this, it's going to be easier to work people than ever before because now you're telling them, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's the whole kimono opening up. Here's the whole show. But now all of a sudden, if you want to work people because they're so on the inside, it's easier than ever. So I have absolute mixed feelings about it. I tend to be more like Jake, not as hard-lined, but I also look at it and go, they're doing something right.
It is going to be interesting to see how WWE Unreal unravels. We're going to be talking about it here in the coming weeks on the program. Let's go ahead and do some questions here. We got K Esperado 100 who was with us here live. He says, hey, JBL and Conrad, listening live from the UK. Bored at work, LOL. Was there anyone in the locker room that tried to pitch themselves to be a part of DX that was unsuccessful? Now, that's funny. Do you remember hearing anybody campaigning to be a part of the group?
That's true. Oh my God. Hunter and Sean had to have that. X-Pac had to have it because a lot of guys, would use guys they think might be an easy entree into it. Sean was incredibly Machiavellian. He just did what he thought was the right thing for business. Irrespective, it didn't matter who it was or what was the outcome. So you always try to find the easiest entree. Maybe that was X-Pac. You'd try to buddy up to him and figure a way into DX. If I'm trying to figure out if you're trying to get into DX, how you would get into it, or buddy up to the guys. I don't know anybody that ever tried to get DX that never made it. So I don't know anybody that tried to get DX that did make it. I don't know if Road Dogg and Billy were actually active trying to be in it. I think they just kind of included them. So I don't know. There, a lot of times guys would hang around groups hoping to become part of that group, and they never do. And it's always kind of funny to watch.
Another question here from the boss. Would the Bradshaw character have worked as a heavy for DX during the Attitude Era before becoming an acolyte? In an alternate universe, could that have worked, John?
Oh, 100%. I think, yeah, it could. Yeah. And me and Ron would have been very good with DX as the two heavies, like a Rick Rude was, or like a China was. I think we'd have been pretty good heavies for those guys. Plus, like Rick, we could interact pretty well with these guys. We could do some fun stuff with them. It'd have been fun to be part of DX. Maybe, I don't know about in addition to the ministry, not in lieu of going to the ministry.
Meta the Night 47 wants to know, if you were offered that spot in DX, would you have taken it? And how do you think your career would have been different if you did?
Oh my God, 100% I'd take it. I guess me and Ron were doing stuff then, so it'd have to be me and Ron. I wouldn't have done it just by myself but if they'd offered me and Ron that spot, oh my God, yes. Those guys were fun. We'd watch them in the back. Like I say, I was sitting there watching in the back when Sean did the famous moon thing backstage, and we were just laughing like crazy. It was fun to watch. So yeah, I would have joined in a heartbeat if they would have asked me. They never asked me, but I only would have done it if Ron would have been included too, which I assume he would have. But of course, they might have just taken Ron without me.
Well, just to get your timeline right, I don't think you actually started doing the acolyte thing until later in '98.
Then 100%. Yeah, they weren't doing anything with me. I was doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'd have been glad to be part of anything. I'd have been part of Skip and Zip if they'd asked me.
I love you for that. Josh J wants to know, were DX seen as Vince's guys with all the creative things they were able to do? And in doing that, did they receive heat from the rest of the locker room? That's something we've heard a lot, that, it was positioned at times where it was like, well, Sean is Vince's boy. I mean, that's certainly the narrative that was out there. How much heat did they have in the locker room based on their Sean's perceived relationship with him?
They only had heat with the guys that had personnel problems with him. Sean had personal issue with Brett, and that was the only heat that there was. I was in several meetings with Sean and Vince, and Sean spoke to Vince like nobody I've ever heard. I mean, Sean could talk to Vince in a way that most people couldn't, but he was very clear about what he wanted. Sean talked business with Vince. He didn't abuse that relationship. Sean had a very unique relationship with Vince, and I didn't see any heat over that, because Sean was all about business. I mean, he wanted to do business, and I would see him there with Vince, and I would see him argue business, and most guys wouldn't argue like that. And if Sean was right, Vince would cede it to him and give it to him.
How silly and juvenile and stupid is it? I mean, I'm sure you've heard it before, but when people would say things like, "Oh, Sean has a unique relationship with Vince," there were the haters out there who said, "Oh, they're more than just friends." Isn't that stupid? I mean, why do we always go to that? That's just dumb.
Same way we go to wieners and poo.
I guess, right? Don't we all love summer vacation, relaxing, laying out by the pool, barbecues, hitting the beach, doing, nothing? Well, how about a summer vacation from your house payments? With SaveWithConrad.com, you can do just that. Reduce your monthly payments by making the equity you built up in your home work for you. You can roll together those high interest rate credit cards into one lower monthly payment, and perhaps access some of that newfound equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. And how about this? You get to skip your next 2 house payments. That's right. You won't have to make your June or your July house payment. You're done until August 1st. Go right now to SaveWithConrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you for free. There's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And did I mention we're offering a 3-year guarantee right now? That's right. That means if at any point interest rates improve over the next 3 years, you get a free refi. That's right. No new lender fees from us. So you get to save money now without wasting money later when the rates improve on a whole second set of closing costs. Why not go to SaveWithConrad.com and get a guarantee? Save money now and save money later with your friend in the mortgage business. That's me, Conrad Thompson at SaveWithConrad.com. Shoot me an email at Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com. Give us a call at 888-425-0105 or get yourself a quick quote. Even talk to a live person right now at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Let's take a summer vacation from house payments at SaveWithConrad.com.